Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Tuesday, 24th of October. I want to not forget to thank, why do I keep doing that? Clyde Weatherhead. It was Clyde Weatherhead who told me a couple of months back, he used to watch my videos. He said, people are going to want to go and find certain days and certain times that you did a video and you need to be able to open it with the date. And I appreciate that, Clyde. That was a good piece of advice. You learn stuff from people, you know. Different people come into your life to teach you things. And Clyde's job was to teach me to say the date at the start of the video. It is now exactly 9 o'clock. I came in a couple minutes early and I adjusted the volume on the Mevo, and there are two indicators that last night were red, tonight they're all green. So I'm assuming that we're doing okay. And if somebody said it stopped, I don't know what it is or why it stopped. I hope it starts back, or unless stopping is a good thing. But if you're on the YouTube and you're hearing me and you're not hearing all the noise, then we fixed it. Yeah? So let's hang out. In the meantime, if you could, share the video, invite everyone to join us.
You papa, if you're gonna put 9 on a little old lady. A big man like you, but down the school and not talk about you man sick and crazy. But when God hold you, no if not, no but no matter.
Excellent.
The almighty boy, baby. Catch them online, for the negative vibes that them a bring. Catch them online, me come to mash up and wreck up them senseless killing. Catch them online, boy, you feel verse with them back and gun thing. Catch them online, stand guard and come out of the wages of sin. So me see it, so me have to talk it. Out the rocky, but me still have to go walk it. You love your life, sit down and park it, and stop carry water in a basket. So me have to drop for all the Moses law. I feel iron and no for who no want push it till blood start draw. All the wrongs boy you have to pay for. Catch them online, all the negative vibes that them a bring. Catch them online, me come to mash up and wreck up them senseless killing. Catch them online, boy you feel refresh with them bag of gun thing. Catch them online, stand guard and come out of the wages of sin. Don't spot, you know sister, you know smart. Come and tell me say you don't have no heart. A long time we a preach and attack, and until you get the politics a walk. But you a tell me you no free for proper talk, and you love hear the big dog a back. Catch them online, for all the negative vibes so them a bring. Catch them online, me come to mash up and wreck up them senseless killing. Catch them online, boy you feel refresh with them bag of gun thing. Catch them online, stand guard and come out of the wages of sin. A big man like you, rape up a 6-year-old baby. A big man like you, papa, if you're gonna put 9 on a little old lady. A big man like you, born down a school and not talk about you man sick and crazy. But when God hold you, no if not, no but no bother tell the almighty for maybe. Catch them online, them.
Now, what I am about to say, do not respond to this by sending me the video that I am going to speak about. If you send me the video, I will block you. I do not want to see the video. I am going to speak about the video by what I have heard said about the video, but I do not want to personally see it because I have enough horror shows in my mind. But I am reading in the conversation that apparently what I am getting is that a young boy was raped in a school. I don't want to know about it. Do not add any information to it. I don't need to know anymore. But you had to approach that from two sides. Because at some point, the lack of supervision, authority, and respect for law in this country is going to devolve the whole society into anarchy. It's going to happen. If we don't fix this quick, because they have some people, if that was their child, whoever it is do that, dead. Dead. Their parents and all could be dead. They have some people that think like that. Some people in this world. Some people in this country. The fact that the Ministry of Education is so manifestly dysfunctional. It's been manifestly dysfunctional for quite some time. The Ministry of Education has been a fat cow with a bulbous teeth called the Education Facilities Company Limited. And minister after minister since Manning created that monstrosity have been force-feeding, gorging financiers through the Education Facilities Company Limited. So the Ministry of Education, which is supposed to be responsible for the education of the nation's children, is subservient to corruption and theft. The EFCL, 3 different boards, should all be in jail by now. But we do not have systems in place to bring people to justice in this country. We could stunt with small case. You can leave that for a minute. But I don't want to lose track. The Ministry of Education, this Minister of Education, should be charged for criminal negligence and reckless endangerment of the nation's children. But we don't have a country that has itself set up like that. We don't have a government that understands that the well-being of the citizenry, from the tiniest to the oldest, biggest, all, that the well-being of the citizenry is the only purpose of government. Were it not for the well-being of the citizenry, we would need no government. The primary responsibility of government is the well-being of the citizenry, but we've never had a government that understood that. So people and life and everything has deteriorated to the point where a child could get raped in a school. And this Minister of Education, high-class jackass that he is, I mean, the man he is such an incredible fool. He is obscene to look at, worse to listen to. He is disgusting. Some of these people, because you cannot have respect for them, you have to have tolerance while feeling nothing but contempt and disdain and watching this dysfunctional, malfunctional, non-functional asshole Anthony Garcia. This morning, talking about cutting the expenses for food in the school. Jackass, you meet that there. They have a lot of things you could save. That's pennies. Feeding children. If there is corruption in the system that provides the food, fix that. But don't cut out the food. Jackass. But there is so much wrong in this country. We do not have a police service that understands that the entire government has placed the well-being of the children at risk, and that they are all guilty of reckless endangerment of the children of this nation, and that the Commissioner of Police should arrest and charge the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education. Start there. Arrest and charge the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education. Start there. Go to the school where this little boy was raped, and every time there is a fight in a school, go in that school and charge the principal and the vice principal for reckless endangerment and abandonment, callous disregard for human life. Because a child is going to end up dead in a school. A child is going to get murdered one of these days over some foolishness, while all of these teachers are in the teacher's lounge playing the ass. And I don't care if I never get a teacher's vote, you could kiss my ass. Because the entire school system is broken down to the point where children could videotape another child being raped and there is no supervision in the school. Where children could videotape children beating the crap out of each other and there is no supervision. So what are the teachers doing? And you will tell me that a teacher's job is to teach. But if a teacher's job is not to supervise and manage that school, we failed. And all of you need to be fired. We failed. Fire all. Start over. Couldn't do worse. You couldn't do worse. Go and bring all the fishermen from Miaro, put them in the school, tell them you all run the class. You couldn't do worse. This is jackassery of the highest order. The children are at risk. They are at risk. And if teachers can't discipline and can't maintain order in the school, then stand down. Stand down. But let's stop it now. Let's stop it. Let's stop pretending that whatever that is an education system. It's not. It's a glorified babysitting service. I said once that the classroom of the future is a supervisor and a screen. And Albert Einstein could teach physics to the entire world at the same time. Because we have that technology. So we don't need to pretend that we need all the teachers that we have. And I'm being very honest here. Because if the teachers are not concerned with molding minds and building character, because teachers are the off-site parents when the children are not home. They are in your care. These are young, impressionable, innocent minds. They are in your care. They are not there to be beaten into submission, to be made into KFC cashiers and security guards. They are in your care. You are supposed to guide, marshal, mold. You are supposed to impart wisdom. Teach them the tools by which that they will learn how to embrace learning, life, how to deal with society, how to... People make jokes. It's now 375,000 days since I've left school and not used geometry once. The entire system is foolishness. It is pure, utter foolishness. We have a couple prestige schools that culls the brightest children in the nation and put them with some high-performing teachers, and we call that prestige. But that's not prestige. That is a two-tiered system. We have a small minority getting treated with a different level of education than the rest. And the rest could also run. Let them eat one another. I don't care. They hire me to work during these hours and I work in during them hours. And who gets lost? Because I remember a tutor. And if they touch my salary, I go march. And that is what is passing for an education system in Trinidad and Tobago today. That's what's passing for an education system. So if your child don't get on the 20% list to slip in, say Mary's, well, I can't even say Fatima because they say it's Fatima this thing happened. I can't even say the safe in the prestige schools because somebody tell me it's Fatima this thing happened. So I don't know. But Philip, they're making plenty noise. It's Fatima. One to all the other schools. Let's make noise all the time. But whether it's Fatima or Mokorapo, a child get raped. And our education system is broken. And our teachers have abandoned ship. Our teachers will fight me down tonight. And will tell me about the home, and tell me about the community, and tell me about them ragamuffin that they get in, and not understanding that they are a cog in the social management wheel. Teacher, social development, community, parent, The teacher has a role to play. But they've forgotten that. We've forgotten that. Our teachers have forgotten their role. And willing to come at me swords drawn, but telling all you know. You see, wait 9 days, let me forget this one. Don't come at me. Not over this. Because it's children. And I know you're doing this for a hustle and a work. I know you have books in your hand and some chalk dust on your hair and you feel like you're an educator, but miss me with that bullshit. An educator educates. You're a glorified babysitter. At best, a security guard. Because you all are not caring for the nation's children. Our children, our Prime Minister, when he was opposition leader, referred to the children coming out of these schools as wild hyenas in an African jungle. We have lost the entire plot. We have lost the entire plot. And we need to fix that. Because you see, the criminals of tomorrow are sitting in classes today. The criminals of tomorrow are sitting in classes today, going mad, losing their sanity. And you don't know they're losing their sanity, you know. You don't know that that's what's happening to these children. You don't know that our system is sending them insane. Lena Del Rosario told me, teachers' hands are tied in so many ways, Phillips. There's time when they really try and get frustrated by either the principal or the ministry. Quit the job. Lena. Say, this is not educating, that this system is mad, and I done. Quit the job. Quit the job. All of you. Tomorrow. Say this is madness. This system set up to fail. And we are failing the children of this nation. And we are creating drones and zombies. Hyper-sexualized, violent beasts. That's what we're creating. Instead of molding thinking minds in an education system set on fire with desire for knowledge, we're creating porn stars, ragamuffins, rapists, and murderers. If the teachers of this country cared, fire truck tutor. I remember I was in St. Mary's College when tutor was born, and the people want to try and cast their mind back to when education failed in this country. Education failed when tutor was formed. That's when education failed in this country. When tutor was formed. Because all of a sudden, it was no longer about teaching as a calling. And all of a sudden, it became about the hustle. For a while there, tutor was finishing this year's March planning next year's march. That's what Chuta was doing, finishing this year's march for increased salaries, planning next year's march. And how would they do it? Hold the nation's children to ransom. And we're in a problem because all the fruit of all the poison tree of everything that's broken in this society coming home to roost right now. And one of them is the broken, dysfunctional education system that has left our children. Because you see, a lot of these parents, because of our economic society, because of the economic system in our society, a lot of these parents, if you're a devoted parent and you want to raise a proper child, you had to work 2 jobs. So they can't get time to spend with their children. And a child is a nurtured mind. Children take in information without stopping. That's what they do. They suck up information around them. And all of that information and all of the experiences and what they live forms their character and sets them off in a direction in the world. So you could come from the humblest of circumstances, mind-numbing poverty, walking 10 miles for your water in the morning, but still have respect for others, self-respect, understanding the rules and willing to play by the rules, a vision for your life, understanding how to get along with each other. These things missing from society. We've come out on the other end. The chickens have come home to roost. We're reaping what we sow. All of those cliches. Use all. Use them. And you could cuss me. I don't care. Parents failing children. Teachers failing children. Community failing children. Social development and management absent. We have nothing in place to prop our children at the time when, instead of becoming fully actualized, conscious, contributing members of society, they become hyper dysfunctional, angry, entitled, and on a roll. Nothing to tell them, nothing to separate what they hear from what they accept as reality. So they take it in unfiltered. We have the highest rates of porn in the world. We are violent beyond measure. Our school system now is terrifying. We have a pipeline from the classroom to the jailhouse. And not one member of any political organization in this country who have the last line of defense ringing that alarm bell. That we are actually breaking our own society. The choices that we are making, the things that we are doing, how we are running this country is making it a failed nation and a madhouse. There is nothing in this country that you could point to and say, are safe there. I could be proud of that. Be guided. Nothing. Outside of this show every night, there is nothing else. Outside of me telling you, this is how it is, this is why it's wrong, this is what it could be, and this is how it should be. Besides me and this show, there's nothing else. On no media of any kind. Nothing. There is nowhere for people to retreat to in safety and say, elucidate, enlighten, educate, empower, inform us. Nowhere. Nowhere. We have put ourselves on a treadmill to destruction, crime, poverty, failed education, banana republic status in the third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere. Jesus Christ in heaven. Tell me, how could that have been an accident? A narco state, human trafficking, 30,000 illegal guns on the street, gangs, Islamic terror training camps for ISIS. How did we get here? Who chose this for us? And how do we, as the people of this country, wake up every single day of life and accept this somehow as normal? How? There is no society, no community, nowhere that not ram up to their throats with wrought iron. Security guards, response, alarm, gated community, the entire thing. Look at it. Look at the country. You go into business accepting that at some time you're going to be robbed. KFC in Morva. Is Morva? Barataria. Serves chicken from behind bulletproof glass. I know you don't want to hear this, you know. I know you want another person come on the thing and say bend down, wind down, jam down low. But all the bend down, wind down, jam down low get we is isolated and alone. You think that the illusion of a life that you have will continue always. And I want to tell you something. Everybody gets a wake-up call. Everybody gets a mistake. Everybody gets an accident. Everybody gets a diagnosis. We do not have anything in place for when your mental health buckles. We don't even have a way to deal with the amount of people in this country walking around wounded in their minds. We have nothing. Nothing. And there is nobody anywhere, nobody, never in the parliament do you ever hear them stand up and say, Mr. Speaker, the country is in crisis. Our people are killing each other and killing themselves. We are suffering. We are hungry. We are living in squalor and desperation. We lack leadership and representation. We have pipes and no water, schools and no education, hospitals and no health care. Mr. Speaker, we have farmland that don't grow food. Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we the people of Trinidad and Tobago in crisis. Nobody saying it. Not the media, not Heyman Fazir in the morning. Stunt for stunt's sake. Pay me, brother. I will whine for you. Baby, I will dance for you. And him, and who have the corn, call the shots? And Fazir, all the bullshit you just want to bullshit people. When you don't really, when last you really take on a real issue, Fazir, come at me. Pretend I am the freaking problem. But at least have the balls you pretend to have and stand up for something. The nation is breaking. We are falling to fire truck apart. Police excellent at giving speeding tickets and locking you up for marijuana joint. That's the level of our professional policing. Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago stealing $350,000 a day. We don't have police know about that. We don't have police who know how to go down and lock up Nazim Bash for the fake oil invoice that he get paid for. We don't have police who know about that. We have a broken country. And we have to face it. And you have to tell all the people who talking to you and telling you, but if you know and if you like and what you think, tell them, listen, man, face the truth. This thing broken. There is nothing in Trinidad and Tobago that works but the record. Nothing. You are only as good as the last bill you could pay. You are only as good as the last salary you could get. You are only as good as the last time your cash register could ring. The wolf could reach your door. You're walking around with blinkers and blinders, deluded and believing. Somehow, the wolf could bite everybody but you. And they don't like the fact that I talk this straight. But somebody have to be saying, Christ, Camelot is on fire. The Titanic has hit the iceberg. What will it take? What has to happen? They tie up an old woman with electric cord and smother her. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, if they come in your house and they pull out cords, say no, fight down, scratch, dig, bite, kick, cuff. Let them kill you, beating you. But don't let nobody tie you up and smother you. They have nobody coming to rescue you. So stand your ground. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, this is serious time. They're killing old ladies in their homes, raping children in school. What do you need to see again? What? What you need to see again? How much more stunt it will take? How much more bacchanalics and old talk it will take? How much more movelang and character assassination it will take? All the people you're following, go back on their walls. All of them, I just telling you this. I ain't about talking nobody. I ain't calling nobody name. But the people that you're following, all of your leaders, all of your civic leaders, forget your political leaders. But all the people that you think that you're going and you're liking and you're sharing and you're hitting and you're loving, scroll their wall. How much of them touch on any of these issues in the past 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months? How many of them are telling you that when you get the diagnosis that puts you in the general hospital, nobody there, Annalisa must see somebody post on my wall, the girl was crying in pain whole night for medication, and the person wrote on my wall, somebody please help. That is a message from inside the general hospital. Christ. What will it take if you find out that your family member was that black man outside general hospital, clawing away at the grass, the wet grass in the night, in pain, dying? What will it take? What will it take before we as a nation wake up? What will it take before we realize PEP Talks? The Ministry of National Security this evening advised that retired Colonel Dave Williams, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM, has resigned with immediate effect. In the interim, Captain Neville Wint will function as the officer in charge of the ODPM. Williams was widely criticized for his comment last week that the flood that began last Wednesday, which continues to this day, was no big thing. I had gotten a card when I turned 30 or 40 that said, and it's funny, when they made you they broke the mold. And when I opened it, it said, rumor has it, they beat the crap out of the mold maker too. That's funny. Mr. Dave Williams is not the problem. The system that allowed a Dave Williams to function as the head of this nation's Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management. Nobody checking to see what the hell this jackass doing. Fire him and the jackass that I point him to. The whole world knew what was going on in Haiti, and nobody came to their rescue. The earthquake that shot them to fame, that's not the extent of their suffering. Trinidad, if it continues like this, somebody will sing a song like that. Trinidad and Tobago, I'm sorry. We ignored you at the time when you needed help the most. Yeah? So let's talk about how the country's education system should be run. The first thing I want to tell you is, before I get into the actual education system, there's something called a Parent-Teachers Association. And in my vision of a functional education system, the Parent-Teachers Association is pivotal. And any child who is in the school, a member of its family, must be on the PTA. That's not open for negotiation. Must be present for PTA meetings. That if you do not attend, your child will be sent home with a note saying that the child cannot come back to school until you show up, because we need to talk to you. Because education is a partnership between the home and the school, and you should know what's going on. I remember about 4 years ago, a woman find me on Facebook and she tell me, blow this up, the school are ready to open, the school are ready to open, they still have paint, I said, when did you find this out? She said, today. I said, are you on the PTA? She said, no. I said, join it. Next year this can happen because you're there and you could see and you would know. You could call me next year and say, Philip, it's July, they start to paint yet, it ain't gonna be ready for September. I'll blow it up then for you. I ain't blowing it up in September when you and I find out the same thing. Because education is a partnership between the home and the school. And we have to make sure that the Parent-Teachers Association, let me tell you something, I keep telling you all, you don't want me as a prime minister, you always talk this. You don't want me as a prime minister because I'll tell it to you straight. A large amount of the bullshit in this country, we're doing it to ourselves, and we need to face it and we need to fix it, because nobody else coming to fix it for you. None. Nobody. Ask Haiti. Ask Venezuela. Nobody coming. Ask Somalia. Could do what you like. It will make news. CNN will cover it. Popcorn will sell. Nobody coming. The PTA is essential. A parent or caregiver must be on the PTA for the duration of the child's scholastic history, career. But come to the school itself. Schools need to be 10-year schools and zoned. Schools need to be 10-year schools and zoned. And we need no SEA. You start off in standard 1, grade 1, form 1, you finish in 15, 12, 15 years. Career was the word, yes. And you are in that school, purpose-built for that 15-year career. You are in that school, growing with your peers and your teachers, with principal and vice principal and structure in the school that know you, know your parents on the PTA, and you're there regular. And it's zoned, so it's in the community where you live. So you're never too far from school, mommy and daddy too. And you have something called a grade point average, which literally means it is an assessment of the level of your learning contrasted with a national number based on a means test aligned to a curriculum. Don't ask me to say that twice. But a curriculum says that this is how all the children in the country, this is the level they're supposed to be at this point. And if everybody is doing well, the best average is 4.4. I pull that out of the air. But you could do better than 4.4, and you could do worse. The collective class average is the teacher's average. So a failing class highlights a teacher's failing. So you come to the teacher and you ask the teacher, account for the failing of your class. And that teacher is supposed to say, of my 25 charges in this class, 4 cannot be taught. And here's why. So then, the Ministry of Social Development will get involved to address any shortcomings that those 4 children have. Some may be medically problems, some may be societal, cultural, home, whatever. And they will identify and address, because all children have a right to education. But the teacher has a responsibility to make sure that all of those children seize and access that right. And then the principal is responsible for an entire school. So every time one of your teachers fail, the principal answers for that. The principal is the one that talks to the teacher. The principal is the one that keeps in touch with all of the teachers in the school. Tell me what's going on in your class. Tell me where you're having problems and extra successes. Let's make sure that you have all the resources for you to get what you need done. And then you have an education supervisor in the constituency that makes sure all the principals doing their job. And the principal makes sure all the teachers doing their job. And the teachers make sure all of the children in their care, all the charges in their care, get back home at the end of the day safe and educated. This madness, this zoo, this monkey house we run in and calling them schools, that had to done. That has to done. And it's not going to done by wishing. And it's not going to done by parents cussing teachers. And it's not going to done by teachers cussing parents. And it's not going to done by the Minister of Education cussing everybody. And the Prime Minister calling the children hyenas. But without a proper education system, the nation fails. Everything is important. But education is the life force of the country. We build and grow forward through how we educate our children. And this is not cramming worker drone information. Go to the Finland model. In fact, let me give it to you now. Meet Ramgopal Roop, a 70-year-old farmer from Trinidad and Scotland's newest business graduate. Stick a pin there. Finland, all I know Finland is my country. Because when it comes to education, I will go over there and find whoever is the Minister of Education and just bring him here and pay him. A revolution is coming for schools in Finland in the form of a destruction of all formal school subjects. The head of the Department of Education in Helsinki, Marjo Kailonen, has announced that he believes that the way children are taught now is based on a style that was a benefit to the students in the beginning of the 1900s, but now is no longer relevant and beneficial to our modernized way of learning. He strongly believes that our needs have changed, and so we need to adapt our teachings to match with our new way of thinking and developing. Finland has the highest standard of education in the world. The next 5 combined do not do as well as Finland. The huge changes will involve the removal of school subjects from the curriculum as proposed by Finnish officials, which will be replaced by the study of individual events and phenomena. This means that students will no longer have individual classes on subjects such as math, geography, and history, but will instead study an event such as the Second World War from the perspective of math, geography, and history. That is called holistic integrated education. That is teaching you how to think, not what to think. You understand? How to think, because everybody goes into an experience and takes from it how they think. There is even a proposed course called Working in a Cafe, which will provide students with skills on the English language, economics, and communication. This new system, which is due to commence in 2020, will be introduced to students at the age of 16, meaning that after completing their initial broad subject studies, they can then choose for themselves which particular event or phenomenon that they wish to study based on their interests and future prospects. The idea of this is to eliminate disengagement of studies who have to sit through individual classes that they believe they will not need based on their future hopes and ambitions of a working future, but instead will apply those prior individual subjects to a specific topic of their choice, thereby still learning the same skills, but using them in a more productive way that is most beneficial to their individual learning. The Finnish system also encourages collective work, meaning that students will be working together in small discussion groups instead of sat behind individual desks and being taught by one teacher. Let me tell you something, That is how you run an education system. Understanding. Eureka Narissa Ali just said, you do know Finland has one of the highest taxes, be prepared. Eureka Narissa Ali, Finland's taxes are on par with Trinidad and Tobago's taxes, believe it or not. But instead of the non-functional, dysfunctional, malfunctional distribution of government goods and services we have here, they step out of their house and what they expect to fall in their hand, falls in their hand. In Finland, you could lose your job for 6 months, you collect your salary based on that same tax system while they work assiduously to put you in another job. So be prepared for a managed country, Eureka. And I'd like to respond to people when they raise nonsense, because I'm sorry for saying this nonsense, Eureka, but you bring half the story there. Because I just had dinner at a place called Kava. It's a restaurant in Cape Park Hotel. And I had a salad. And I paid 3 times the price for that salad as I probably would have paid in Westmore. The only difference is the plating, the taste, the service, the delivery, and everything that I needed to make that salad an interesting and enjoyable gastronomic experience I got. So I paid a little extra for it. We in Trinidad and Tobago have to decide. Do we want the manifest nonsense that we accept as the way this country is run? Or are we prepared to pay a little more and get instead a nation that does not need burglar bars? A nation that does not need to go to your local tire store and ask him, or look at fix Ben rim, I fall in a pothole. Because those are also taxes. Those extra fees. When you go in the hospital in Finland, they treat you like royalty. When you go in the hospital in Trinidad and Tobago, they treat you like a dog. In fact, I think the dogs get better service by the vet. So we pay for it when we say, you know what? Here's my mother or here's my child. So I will take you by a private doctor. And instead of getting the foolishness for free that we're spending $6.25 billion for this year, I'll go and pay extra $3,000 for it by a private doctor. Because I love my family. But Eureka, those extra charges, those are taxes too. That's tax on the stupidity of thinking that what we get here for what we pay is of any value to anybody. But moving along, education in this country must be conceptualized on every child having access to the same prestigious education. That every child, regardless of financial circumstances, or community, or culture, or class, or race, or what have you, that every child has the same opportunity to come out at the end of that 15 years old and be poised to take on the world, pursuing an actual lifelong career. In a nation that treats with scorn the people who run the country, the plumbers, the carpenters, the masons, the drivers, the truckers, the garbage men, the cooks, the chefs, the waitresses. We treat them with scorn. The security guards even, the parking lot attendants. We treat them with scorn. You failed life. You failed. Take my disdain. Hold $1. And we don't understand that if the garbage men stopped working for a week, life as we know it stopped. If the plumbers that go to work at Wassa stop going to work at Wassa, the technicians and the engineers, if they don't go to work, well, for those who are accustomed to having water in the taps, it's dry. Understand, the boy that bags the grocery in the grocery is integral to your quality of life. And we need to start understanding that yes, we need engineers and doctors and lawyers, but we also need these people that keep the sewer running. Because if the sewer backup work done, and we need to make sure that to do this job is not your failed life. That to do this job, if you like it, if it is your choice and you want to do this job, you should get paid a living wage. And that living wage should be able to buy you a house, buy your food, educate your children, give you access to first world healthcare in a nation that works. But this is not a nation that works. This is a nation of two political parties, the PNM and UNC, masks for a devious criminal class, the contractocracy, that are made up of professionals, lawyers, accountants, businessmen, politicians, who come to government with one job, one goal in mind, to steal everything they could. We've never had leadership in this country. Never. Not one thing has been built in this nation since the Queen left that was built on budget and to last. The Chinese built Napa in Trinidad and Tobago with fraudulent steel and asbestos ceilings and put everybody at risk. We had to shut Napa down in secret, gut it, and do it over. Hundreds of millions more. Gone. Nobody ain't telling you that. Nobody ain't telling you that. I tell you that. Ask Lincoln Douglas about the conspiracy of silence to fool you. The country we want, the country that we need, we're not going to get it lying to each other, squinting and pretending that it's working. We're not going to get it believing that this manifest obscenity, this non-functional, malfunctional, dysfunctional insanity we call a country, that somehow that will get us somewhere. It won't. We're going nowhere fast. And we're accelerating. The only future for this country is to vote into oblivion anything that have any association with the PNM and the UNC and the 1% that they represent. Avoid, as if you are avoiding the plague, anything associated with red and ready and yellow and steady. Trust me, they don't have your best interests at heart. Did I hear something?
Reverend Daniel Tiloxing says the greed of individuals as well as past and the present governments is responsible for the economic decline being experienced in Trinidad and Tobago.
Decades of squandermania and mismanagement and personal enrichment. Men and women and companies and individuals in government and out of government have enriched themselves driven by greed and have almost reduced Trinidad and Tobago to an economic desert.
The Reverend, who was speaking at a Thanksgiving service, says floods of a different kind are consuming our society.
The floods of greed have been covering this land, and there is a mad rush for wealth. And it is so contagious, and governments seem to be blaming one another. But no single government is responsible. But there is a day of judgment.
He says crime is a direct consequence of corruption.
Because of our greed, we are harvesting indiscipline and lawlessness, murder and mayhem.
And he says the lack of accountability continues to fuel corruption.
The system is so corrupt and so crooked and so designed to protect. They are the ones who make the system to protect themselves.
Janelle Bernard, CNC3 News, Port of Spain.
That was Reverend Daniel Tiloxing telling you the same thing that I tell you night after night after night. So other people are waking up.
Register and put them on. If they don't see, put them on. Stay your finger and put them on. Show them no mercy, put them on. Put them out with total skull and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out of power, dominate their reign. Let's put our country together again.
You need to hear something else.
Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo have some of the largest natural resource deposits in the world, and yet their economy suffers tremendously when compared with countries having fewer or very little natural resources. The phenomenon baffled researchers when resource-poor countries such as Korea, Taiwan, Singapore and Hong Kong emerged as world star players, while extremely resource-rich nations such as Venezuela suffered. 97 developing countries were studied over a 20-year period, and the results would amaze you. The more natural resources they had and exported, the lower was the economic growth. Countries with less or no natural resources surprisingly grew the fastest. During the 18th century, Germany, Britain, and the United States developed tremendously as a result of their natural resource reserves. Back then, transport costs were very high, and so having your own resources gave you an edge. However, due to revolutions in global transport and energy today, countries can easily import these commodities from outside as well. We see countries like Japan and Korea become world-class steel producers despite their complete dependence on iron ore imports. So if having natural resources does not give countries a significant advantage today, is it actually disadvantageous? Well, yes. Let's look at a few examples. Trinidad and Tobago is a small nation rich in oil reserves. As a result of the oil boom, wages in the oil sector here are much higher than that of manufacturing or agriculture. Everyone wants to work in oil, and industries like agriculture are looked down upon as a place to work if you haven't made it in life. The country currently imports close to $1 billion worth of food products a year. If we board a ferry from Trinidad and Tobago and travel just a couple of hours, we reach the country that has the largest oil reserves in the world, Venezuela. Oil was discovered here in the early 1900s, and the country soon became the largest oil exporter in the world. As a result, the value of their currency increased tremendously. Exports of other industries such as agriculture and manufacturing began to die, as countries now found it very expensive to import from Venezuela. With 96% of export earnings coming from oil, the economy became very vulnerable to the smallest changes in oil prices. A small increase spread cheer while a small decline signaled doom. Now, with falling oil prices, bad economic policy and rampant corruption, the country faces the largest economic, social and political crisis in the world today. Another common aspect that plagues these nations is the lack of entrepreneurship. With a booming natural resource sector, wages tend to go up in this sector. With high wages to be earned, people now prefer to work instead of taking a risk and starting their own business. This eventually leads to the death of innovation and hence overall development as well. Nauru is an island country in the Central Pacific. Its inhabitants during the 70s were amongst the richest people on earth, thanks to their large phosphate deposits. A majority of individuals were happily employed in the phosphate industry and did not see the need to innovate at all. Over time, their reserves ran out and the citizens had nothing to fall back on. The country today suffers with a staggering unemployment rate of over 90%. A few countries, however, have managed to keep the curse at bay. Norway had the foresight to set up a wealth fund in 1990, which is worth $900 billion today. During times of low oil prices, the fund is used as a cushion to balance trade deficits. Saudi Arabia and Malaysia are extremely resource-rich and have been able to offset the curse to some extent due to a long tradition of open trade. The royal family has recently pledged to gradually wean the country off oil and also focus on the growth of other industries. Another rare phenomenon is seen in Iran. In spite of being extremely resource-rich, manufacturing exports here have actually gone up. This is due to the fact that the government kept energy prices such as electricity very cheap for companies and provided these companies with a competitive advantage in foreign markets. In the absence of strong strategy, forward-looking policies, and alternate sources of revenue.
I say these things to you on a daily basis. I wanted to prove to you none of these things I am telling you I am making up. Success leaves clues. The countries that work have policies that work. We do not. We have a system of theft. We have no law enforcement, no justice system of value. The country is badly broken. Our governance, well documented, set up to fail. There are very wealthy people in this country who know how to take advantage of this fact that the country is set up to fail. They employ professionals such as accountants and lawyers and others who eschew ethics, in exchange for a piece of the pie. So we're in a nation of some very disproportionately wealthy lawyers. We have some lawyers that have silk that don't deserve cotton. We will soon have an Attorney General, Faris Harawi, give himself silk. He would never have deserved silk in his entire life. But I believe Kamala Prasad Bisesa don't deserve silk either. These things no longer have a value. Like Trinidad's national medal. If you give me one, I'll give you back. Give me a kiss cake instead. What in this nation can you say is a testimony to hard work, to burning the midnight oil, to brilliance? What in this country is a testimony to anybody rising above anything other than outdistancing law enforcement? We have a country where the government and the law enforcement authorities know Cedrus is the source of most of our crime. And we don't deal with it there. We have a nation that knows that a maritime security wall would end the drug trafficking, the gun smuggling, and the human slavery that takes place through Trinidad and Tobago. But they won't do it. And you need to ask why. This is a country where 40% of the containers leave the port unchecked, even though a container in a car company in Trinidad opened its doors and drugs fell in the showroom. We pretend at being a functional nation. We're not. The vast majority of the masses in this country are left to their own devices. Government pretends to give a crap about them. If anything, the flooding that just took place in Central and South should tell you, government really not on you. The oil spill, government have no interest in you. We heard this morning on the news. That the oil spill in Chagaramas didn't originate in Chagaramas. And that they checked all of the boats that were available to be checked, but couldn't check those who didn't have people in charge of them. Begging the question, what is the purpose of a lawful authority if it cannot enforce the law? The nation is broken at a fundamental level. And the only way it is going to change is to get rid of the political class that has allowed this contractocracy, this kleptocracy, this power structure that sits atop Trinidad and Tobago, enslaving the people and raping its resources. The only way that you could fix that is to get rid of it. Understand, the Progressive Empowerment Party comes to you with policies, programs, plans, and ideas, and tells you not just what, where, when, or how. Tells you, tell the party you following, steal the idea, put it in place now. It will fix the country. The PEP's policies are unimpeachable. You can't stick a hole in one. Everybody knows that those policies put in order will fix this nation.
If their policy is a policy, bureaucracy, a catastrophe. If they cannot vote, and you see it so,
then your only hope is for them to vote.
if it is fabrication, these statements that they spout.
When you're voting, vote them out.
If it is a frustration, does make you want to shout.
When you're voting, make sure to share this video, please. Share it and share it and share it. At least educate and empower your brothers and sisters so that you and they together could finally stand one people under one flag and get the political representation that this country so desperately needs. We need to bypass the fake and fraudulent, corrupt and complicit traditional media that are trying to hoodwink the nation and pretend that they alone must influence how the people think. On the 25th of November, the Progressive Empowerment Party is having a fundraiser in the Shakonia Hotel called PEP and Parang. Shari Wilson, Lima McLeod Wilkinson, Giselle Jordan Young, Felicia Holder, the rest of the team, they're on the thread, they're on the wall. You can get tickets, you can email us at peptrinbago@gmail.com. Come out and line with the peppers. Help us raise funds to run the party and build out to being in a position to properly mount a campaign against these two corrupt cancers that have destroyed this country. We need your assistance. We absolutely need your help. We are not going to pawn or sell our souls to any deep pocket financiers in exchange for them coming to run rampant over the country like we've seen in the past 30 years. You, unfortunately or fortunately, have all of the power as to what happens from here. And we cordially invite you to spend $200 and buy a ticket and come and be a part of one of the best events for the Christmas season. Come and be a part of the growth and development of your own future. $200 is not too much to spend for that. We also need help. And if you are blessed and financially fortunate and want to write a check for $500, $1,000, $10,000, buy tickets and give them away. If you just want to make a donation to the party, again, we need the help. We have to bypass traditional media. We have to make sure that we get the message out to the vast masses. Everybody's saying, Philip, take this show on the road. This show is already on the road. The media hiding it from you. But we are fixing that and we need your help. PEPtrinbago@gmail.com. That is the email address for everything and anything. Join the party, request tickets, whatever you want, volunteer services, offer to make a donation, PEPtrinbago@gmail.com. PEP app, the sexiest political app in the country. PEP app available on all app stores, free of charge, download for free. PEPTT.com, PEPTT.com, www.peptt.com, that's our website. 19 Stanmore Avenue, that's PEPHQ. We have a meeting every Saturday at noon. It's open to the public. Feel free to join us. Come down, come along, make yourself at home, see if what we're saying motivates you to come on board and then join us. We are at 35 constituency executives. I want Sharon to be able to understand what that means. In 9 months, we are six constituencies away from being ready to contest every single seat in an election. So we are almost ready. 9 months and we've done all of this. You are seeing the hard work that we are putting out, the sacrifice that we're making. You must know, you must realize this is a godsend. This is a one shot. This is our best chance. We need to mount a rescue. The nation is against the ropes. We are on fire and sinking. We are going to suffer the curse. We are going to be an example to every other nation. They already start using us in videos. Let us undo and redo this nation. Let us reboot the republic. Come on board and help us undo and redo and start over Trinidad and Tobago into a functional first world nation, a paradise on earth that you and your family will be proud to live and grow old together in. Yes, One people under one flag, the Progressive Empowerment Party, and all of us. Please, come on board, feel free, write us. You could message me if you're having any difficulty getting through with the email. The staff and the teams working very hard, but if we miss, I am here to pick up the slack. Yes? So tomorrow evening I'll be back here I'm aiming for 8, but sometimes it's 9, and I apologize for starting late tonight, but it was beyond my control. Yes? So until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.